Hi everyone, today I'm going to be reviewing this cross-stitch bookmark kit. I'll leave the Amazon link in the description below if these adorable cat bookmarks appeal to you too. Let's see what we get inside. We get some felt which seems to be sort of sticky back on one side. I assume this is for the back of the piece once it's completed. A small bag with needles and these sort of flower things. Let me know in the comments what they're actually for. A small pair of scissors and 6 pre-printed canvas templates. I love the fact that these are printed on. I've tried doing a larger kit before where you have to count the stitches and it just ended up a frustrating mess. So now to decide which design to pick, and I think this one looks the simplest one to start with. I'll put the others to one side to do another time and take a look at the instructions. Again, I'm really glad these are in colour and they're super clear which colour thread you need for each section of the design. It's pretty much a stitch by numbers. Each bundle of thread is clearly labelled with the corresponding numbers, and this all seems very well put together and really easy to follow. So I go through, pull out all the colours I'll need, grab a needle and get stuck in. Honestly, I expected to be able to do this in a single time lapse, but threading the needle took me ages, and the bookmarks were a little bit bigger than I expected, so instead I started it on camera and then took it to bed, worked on it whilst waiting for the Aussie show, and generally did a bit more on lunch breaks and in evenings. It probably took me a good few hours to complete this. I decided to do the border as a single stitch rather than a cross stitch, and I think that it ended up looking fine. It made the middle of the design stand out just that little bit more. I will say that I found that the thread was really good quality. In fact, the whole kit feels well made. I had no broken thread, no torn canvas, and no snap needles. My criticisms would be that the shades can be quite similar to each other in some places, so they didn't really stand out against each other. The instructions were also pretty limited. I didn't know how to start or finish each colour, so I started making knots. First they were way too big, but eventually I got them a little smaller. I do admit that following the technique that they suggest on the back of the instructions of doing half the cross and then coming back and doing the second half did make the back a lot neater. My technique of doing all the crosses as I went made it a bit more difficult to figure out where you were and made the back messier, which later caused issues as my needle would get stuck and I'd have to play tug of war until the thread eventually made it through. Although this did highlight the strength of the thread and the canvas, but it also made the bookmarks stretch and distort a little bit. Hopefully I can fix that later. So back to the time lapse for the final section. I chose not to bother filling in the background, and it's finally done. I mean, I did enjoy this craft, but it did take hours, so you definitely get good value for money time-wise. The instructions didn't mention what to do once you've finished the cross-stitch, so I made my best guess, pulled the backing off from a felt sheet, tried to line it up using the edge of the fabric, but then realised that the fabric is not cut straight. So I repositioned it and pressed down firmly all over the design and tried to straighten out any of the bits that I distorted earlier. Lastly, I trimmed just outside the border. I do think it's a little thick for a bookmark, but it's definitely an improvement to my usual go-tos of old receipts or the dreaded dog earring. I will likely go back and finish the other designs, but for now I'm going to take a break from crafting and try to actually make progress in my book. Make sure to let me know in the comments below which craft or kit you'd like me to try out next. To sum up, I think that this kit is definitely worth the cash for the hours of crafting you get and the adorable final results. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again next time.